The views and opinions of this program are those of the host, guests, and callers. There is substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options, which you should carefully consider prior to trading.
For over 95 years, we've set the bar. Power, we restored it. Protection, we reinvented it. Record yields, we redefined it. If there's one thing we know at FS, it's that just because something hasn't been done, doesn't mean it can't be done. We're never satisfied unless we take your farming operation to the next level. Run your equipment at peak efficiency and bust the bins this season. Visit fssystem.com.
And joining us now here on Market Talk as we wrap up the week of trade on Friday. We've been busy in Kansas City at the National Association of Farm Broadcasting Convention, and we wanted to get some perspective and go over to Illinois. And we've talked with our next guest once before during the Farm Progress Show, and really had a great conversation, and we wanted to get him back on the show and talk again. So joining us today, Cole Stock with Western Grain Marketing. And Cole, it is good to talk with you again, my friend, and hopefully things are going well there in Illinois. Sounds like you guys wrapped up harvest a couple of weeks ago in your area.
Yeah, harvest for the most part, we ended 3 or 4 weeks ago, roughly. Our territory, Western Grain, we're spanning from Jacksonville, and you just go 100 miles north to Galesburg. So, I mean, we're covering a lot of miles. Our northern region, they still have a little bit to finish up, but compared to most years, yeah, man, this was a quick one.
Well, talk about how things kind of wrapped up the year. What have you seen from your customers as far as yields? I've heard a lot of folks who said better than expected yields considering the weather that we had all year.
Sure, no doubt. So looking at our territory, really, let's call it south of the Illinois rivers where we'll start. Corn, call it 5 to maybe as much as 15% off versus last year. A lot of 220 to 230. Beans, those were pretty much right in line with last year, 75 to 80. And it's really when you get north of the Illinois River and keep moving towards Galesburg, where they had yields, both corn and beans, that were just as good as last year, and even some that were record for this year. And we were expecting that heading into this year with a spread out and the timeliness of the rains that we did receive. Most of the time you can get your whole territory, hey, this is where we think we're going to finish or where we'll be at. And we were pretty widespread. So all in all, as a company, though, I would say really comparable to last year as far as our harvest handle. You had a little bit of bad, you had a little bit of good, add them up, and we had a good fall.
Well, as farmers are thinking about some of their marketing for those bushels that they pulled out of the field here this year, I want to talk about this. We just had a November WASDE report here earlier in the month, and I feel like since then we got some numbers there. Bigger corn crop from USDA, slightly bigger soybean crop. I'd say really overall the report was neutral to bearish, but soybeans have rallied and then given back a lot of the rally here this week, especially. And it feels like we got through the WASDE and then really turned this into a South American weather market. Is that kind of your thoughts? I mean, talk about the recent WASDE and just some of the South American weather story that's been playing here. Yeah.
So as we finished up harvest and, our sights are set on marketing, for us, we always store a lot of soybeans. This year, we had about a 10% increase in our soybean storage for grain disposition. So more bushels where there's no pricing on it, right? Corn, we almost doubled the bushels that we typically store. So, I mean, that, we know that should be a given because the hesitancy to market in the summer months, and then we know what price action did as we headed into fall. So guys and gals got a lot of bushels that they don't have a price on them with, right? So when we're looking at price action and what the market's done since fall was wrapped up, I mean, corn, you've been in a range for 2 to 3 months, call it. It feels like these has been 450 to 480. There hasn't been a story in corn. It's soybeans. When we're looking at that marketplace, these things are $1.25 to $1.50 higher than when the customer started harvesting them. So, our message is we need to take advantage and reward this marketplace when we see these kind of rallies and your storage has worked the way it's intended to work. We like to call it grabbing a piece of pie, taking a bite of the apple, whatever you want to call it. Let's make a sale and reward this market. And the reason, obviously, you said it, why have we been rallying? Well, it's weather in South America, future uncertainty. So that's going to play a bigger role here as we walk our way forward, entering these winter months. But, what I want to remind our customer base, it was only a short while ago, remember this summer in corn, we had a 6 in front of it. And it was, oh my gosh, how high can we go? What do? I like this price. I don't know what I'm going to raise, right? So what was corn, as I said, during harvest, 450 to 480. So we can't lose sight that in these weather markets, things can change. They can change rapidly. When I'm looking at corn, I'm going to call it $1 to $1.50 range, right? We could see mid to lower 4s, mid or lower to mid 5s, upside pretty capped and limited. You're going to need some more action out of South America. Corn exports remain, those remain a pretty big question mark. Ethanol's been pretty good. It's been solid to start the crop year. You look at beans, man, that's where, what do we call the range? 3 to 350. I mean, upper 11s, lower 12s to who knows on the upside, right? But again, when we rallied like we have, that's our message. Hey, don't lose sight of what we've put into this marketplace and take advantage of that.
Sure. Rewarding those rallies are so important. What are you hearing from a lot of your customer base, or what are you seeing as far as folks who have rewarded the rally? I mean, are they just making straight cash sales? Are we looking at some DP here? I mean, what's kind of the hot thing right now that you're hearing around your area, your Cole?
We've started off, our customer base has done a really good job of rewarding the soybean market, taking advantage. Once we started at 13.25, 13.50s, we've been busy buying beans the last couple weeks here. So they've done an excellent job. We've had a lot of good conversations with our customer base. Hey, if you don't want to make the sale, and if you want to leave some upside open, let's look at buying a put option and at least setting a floor like we talked about, protecting that $1.25 to $1.50 gain that we've had in the last 4 weeks. Corn side, corn's been slow. A lot of offers working. Let's call it decent Jan, 5 to 5.25 to get started on sales. But our customers have done an excellent job rewarding the soybean market. And then looking ahead, hey, where do I put my next offers? What can I do to mitigate risk?
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And well, we're busy mitigating and minimizing our risk right now. And I know a lot of farmers are making decisions for 24 as well. Are you seeing a lot, hearing a lot, thinking about this upcoming crop year now? It's hard to think we're wrapping up harvest already and switching into a new crop year, Cole. But as some of those decisions are being made this winter, are some folks looking at rewarding the rally on some of these 24 contracts too? What are you hearing?
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up, because prior to today, you more or less had, call it 5 and 13 available for a hedge to arrive, and just getting something out there, getting something on the books, and getting started. So yeah, we've seen a little bit of movement in those months, and that's the message again, is look what we've done in the last 4 or 5 weeks. Let's talk about rewarding this marketplace, or starting to work some of these offers.
Yeah, it's things to think about. It's no secret that there's a lot of decisions that have to be made this time of year, and it's something else to think about, because as we know, I mean, we got a long way to go before we start putting seed in the ground here in the U.S., and we got the South American crop to get through as well. And so there's plenty of news items ahead. So to me, it just seems like when it comes to risk management, having a plan is important, right, Cole? Lock it in the bin and set it and forget it's not really a marketing plan. So having something on the books and ready to go is important, isn't it?
Yeah. No, and I mean, you said it. There is a long way to go, and right now we're in that transition year, right? We're coming off of those fundamentally bull markets, tight stocks. We're refilling pipelines. Okay, here's a black swan of South American weather, so that throws another wrench into the marketing plan. But when I look at some of our our customer base of corn, for example, we're just not the only ones. It was everywhere. Nobody wanted to go and step out and put corn on the books. But when I go back and look at some of our contracts from this year, some of the most successful sales were if the customer just said, hey, I'm not wavering. I'm not buying into this weather scare. I might take my bushels down a little bit that I'm going to forward contract, right? But let's get something while there's a upper 5 or a 6 in front of it. So yeah, having a plan in place more often than not. I know these last 2 or 3 years have certainly been odd. But more often than not, having a plan is it's going to work.
Well, Cole, great thoughts, and we do appreciate you joining us here. Anything final, real quick, before we let you go, or anything you want to reiterate to folks here heading into a weekend?
It's we'll bring it back to the beans, and it's a message we're sharing with our customers is, hey, we've rallied these things $1.25 since you put them into storage. You bet there is a weather scare right now going on in South America, but just reminding them, hey, things, as you guys know in your careers, things can change quickly. Let's get a plan, and don't let this volatility dictate our decisions, but let's get in front of it, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yep. Well, hey, we covered some good ground here. Do appreciate you joining us on Market Talk today. Cole Stock with Western Grain Marketing. Thanks for being with us, and I know we'll talk to you again soon. Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, you too. Thanks, Jesse.